Hello and welcome to the latest hype show for WPW World Pro Wrestling. And today we're going to be talking about SUPERCLASH, which is the latest show from WPW that will be taking place from the Cheltenham Town Hall, Sunday the 12th of February. And I'm joined by the head honcho, the man behind WPW, Matt Jarrett. And we spoke last year. Matt, welcome back to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, how you doing, John? I hope you had a nice Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Absolutely.
And, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to discussing all 7 matches that have currently been announced for SUPERCLASH, the latest show from World Pro Wrestling. Now, Matt, it's been a little while. It's been 12 months since we last had you on the show and 12 months since we last had WPW in a ring. But obviously, you've been busy kind of working hard behind the scenes to put together this card. But you must be, as a promoter, this is your baby. You must be really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I am actually. I mean, yes, last February we obviously came back. I think I delivered a great show, especially with the circumstances with the weather and stuff like that. We brought to jury. Andrew Anderson was there.
Yeah.
Obviously Hernandez and Kenzo couldn't come because of the weather at the time. We obviously had some mishaps, which I've said on social media I'm sorry about. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, things happen which are out of my control. My 23-year-old niece passed away of cancer. Yeah. So obviously I've had to deal with that. I'm fired up, and I've just lost a good friend of mine, and he was a good friend of Danny Collins and Peter Collins and some of the old wrestlers. He seconded them all. Big Daddy, Marty Jones, Kendo Nagasaki, you name it, he would have seconded him. That was Richard Williams. He just died 2 weeks ago, 83 years old. It's been a tough time. So we're going to dedicate this SUPERCLASH show to Richard in his memory, and we're going to be doing a 10-bow salute. I think a lot of wrestling fans forget that there's not just 2 wrestlers and the referee in the wrestling business. Yeah. There's also the seconds who years ago used to walk you out and get your wrestling coat and do the spit bucket and talk to you and stuff like that. And backing off on this, a little story we get to SUPERCLASH in a minute. My first time I was at the Cheltenham Hall, you used to go up the back stairs to the big door and then the music would start blaring. And I was behind there, and I think I nearly wet myself because, I'm 17. I was absolutely nervous as hell. And Richard said, son, take a deep breath, open the door and become the star you are. And so he was there when I needed that thing. I was having palpitations. I mean, I don't know what it feels like to have a child give birth, but if it was anything like that, it's probably very uncomfortable.
Absolutely, but say SUPERCLASH will be dedicated to that great man, and I think I briefly got a chance to speak to him at the last show in the Cheltenham Town Hall, and that is going to be where we are heading again, Sunday the 12th of February. Look at that beautiful venue, and it's even more beautiful inside. If you want to know what we're talking about, it's this SUPERCLASH, Sunday the 12th of February from the Cheltenham Town Hall. The doors open at 4, show starts at 5, and just looking at the poster there, an array of the biggest, best and brightest stars from the UK and from around Europe. And we will be getting into their participation at SUPERCLASH World Pro Wrestling on Sunday the 12th very, very soon, breaking down their matches and their opponents and having a lot of fun doing it as well. But more importantly, you can get tickets just by going to the Cheltenham Town Hall website. Now, the address to that is running along the bottom of the screen. I'm sure the link to that will be in the description to this show, so please check them out. There are still a few seats remaining, but I know that kind of front row is pretty much gone. But if you want to be in that fantastic venue on Sunday the 12th for the matches that we're about to talk about, now is the chance for you to do that. And if they go to the Cheltenham Town Hall website, grab your ticket or tickets today. You will not be disappointed. But Matt, first of all, we will have a new face as our MC, a new face as our ring announcer. Last time we had the wonderful Mike Angus. Shout out to Mike. But tell us a bit about this gentleman, and I think he will be quite a familiar face to a lot of people watching this right now.
Well, before we talk about the MC, I just want to say, John, you said Cheltenham Town Hall's a beautiful venue. I mean, it's even more beautiful when there's a wrestling ring in there, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. Oh, and I've got to say, I've probably not been to a more grander venue than the Cheltenham Town Hall for a wrestling show. That's certainly my opinion of the place last year.
This is definitely one of the most historical venues in the country for wrestling. I mean, the Cheltenham Hall's obviously gone. I don't know if Four Star are still running, even Croydon or Hanley, but it's still one of those venues that did TV. So, I mean, the first wrestling show I think I went to was it. Funny enough, the first wrestling show I went to, that MC was MCing. That was when I was 11. So it's
What a great link.
yeah, it's terrible. Eh? I'm going to tell him, hey Lee, I was 7 years old the first time I saw you. It was right here at Cheltenham Town Hall. That's going to make him feel old, isn't it?
Absolutely.
His name's Lee Bamber. I don't know if you've ever watched those old British wrestling tapes, like the Mick McManus World of Wrestling. He's actually the commentator in the background with Mick McManus. Lee's been around for years, obviously. And I've been around for years, but he's been around for years.
Even longer.
It's the first time he's actually worked for me. But I contacted him and said, was he interested in, and he jumped at it, So I'm looking forward to it.
And he's going to add that kind of old school vibe, isn't he? He's going to add that kind of air of authority and that air of experience that only an MC like Lee Bamber can offer. And I think one thing that's very important to say about WPW and SUPERCLASH in particular is that it's a promotion that's built on tradition. It's a promotion that's built on British wrestling. So if you're a fan of traditional British wrestling, if you're a fan of even, dare I say it, sports entertainment, you're gonna the show that we're about to talk about is for all comers, families. If you like your older style, your more traditional style of wrestling, if you like your high flying action, this show we're about to talk about has it all. Wouldn't you agree, Matt?
Yeah, I would, because it was funny enough. I saw a comment. This was like when I first brought Liger over, and you shouldn't talk about the past because the past is the past. And some fans said, well, why would Liger work on a World of Sport wrestling show? And I thought, mate, do you actually know this guy actually worked on World of Sport when World of Sport was actually going?
He certainly did.
And, and they were saying like things like Kojima, why would he want to do it? Well, Kojima worked for Oric Williams, Reslo, for Brian Dixon. So, a lot of fans don't realise that, what Rev Pro Wrestling is doing is great. Hats off to them. You can't take it away what they're doing with New Japan Pro Wrestling. But if you really look at it, all the top guys, I'm not saying rest in peace, Mr. Anoki or Mr. Baba, that's a total different story. They obviously had their excursions to the United States. But if you really look at it, all the top Japanese guys, they come here and learn their trade before they go back to America, and generally they all go back to Japan or Mexico where they go next, and they come here to learn the aspects of entertainment because we're the best at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the British style of wrestling, the traditional British style of wrestling, is renowned for being quite possibly the best in the whole world. And that's why a lot of people at the beginning of their career, they come over here to learn that style, and it makes them more of a rounded performer. But let's start talking about the matches then, Matt.
A little story
Yeah,
here,
please go ahead.
Which you would never know, and I shouldn't really let these little stories out, but I will live on.
We like all these little stories, Matt. Yes, we like all these little stories.
It's prime time on Saturday at 9. I mean, Jushin Thunder Liger, when I picked him up, the first thing he asked for was, Matthew said, can I have some baked beans? And I was floundered that he just wanted baked beans. I thought, he might want a Porsche or something picking up. The first thing he wants was Heinz baked beans because he loved beans and he couldn't get them back in Japan. Heinz.
Amazing. Great story. You would never have thought it. Let's talk about this match here. Jimmy Jackson, he's doing amazing things in the northwest of the UK for promotions like TNT, TNT Extreme and Ignition, making a real name for himself. He's become a real character over the last 12 months. And of course, he featured in a match at your last show back in last February. At the same venue. So he's back again, this time against Jack Landers. Now, I think Jack is relatively new on the scene, been around a few years, but certainly picking up the experience. And I think he's going to have a lot of talent to show the audience in the Cheltenham Town Hall on February the 12th. But what can you tell us about these two amazing individuals, and what can we expect from those two when the bell rings?
Well, obviously, Jimmy came down last time. He filled in for Too Cold Scorpio. I mean, what a place to fill in for, if any wrestler, fill in for Too Cold Scorpio. Jim is a fantastic athlete. I mean, I was mesmerized when I saw him come out and did all those acrobatic, the cartwheels he did on the stage. I mean, it was like a circus performer on the stage.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he got in the ring, and I thought, crikey, this kid can go. And I didn't know him. I never met him before in my life. So I was really, I was like, like I said, I was super excited when I saw him. And against Jack Landers, who obviously he's works for Al WP up in Skegness. Through Aaron Sharp, I got in contact with him. What I've heard about him, he's a good lad. I have spoke to him obviously over the last couple of weeks. I have told him that this venue is probably going to be one of the bigger venues he's probably wrestled in, not to get worried, because it is such a big venue. It don't hold a lot of people, but if you look how big the ceiling goes up, it's a big venue, Cheltenham Town Hall.
It is.
And those wrestling fans there, they do like to eat you alive. I've had it myself. So yeah, I would expect this could be anyone who's a fan of cruiserweight wrestling, the lighter weight wrestling. I'm not talking Rey Mysterio. I'm talking like, Billy Kidman and Juventud Guerrero. I think this would sort of be that type of match. And it might be a clean one. You never know. But tempers do fly in these matches, I guess.
Absolutely, and an exciting match to look forward to from the Cheltenham Town Hall. And like I say, just flash up that graphic again: Jimmy Jackson versus Jack Landers. Two exciting young up-and-coming pros that in a couple of years' time, everybody will be talking about. But like I say, just a few days around the corner, you can see them for yourself at the Cheltenham Town Hall SuperClash from World Pro Wrestling. But speaking of cruiserweights, now we're kind of talking about more jacked heavyweights, aren't we, Matt?
Yeah.
And it doesn't really get much more jacked than Aaron Sharp. You just mentioned him just a moment ago against Shreddy Breck. Now, I know Shreddy very well. I've had him on my main podcast. But these two, as I said to you before we started recording, these two haven't missed many sessions at the gym. They look jacked, they look stacked, and that match is going to be a tremendous one. Like say, when bell rings, those two are certainly going to bring it.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Sharp, I've known probably since about 2009. I went up to Skegness, obviously a long way from Cheltenham. I went up to meet Danny Collins because he's obviously based up in Lincolnshire now, and obviously he's retired now, but he was based and still lives up in Lincolnshire. Met him at the time. From what I heard, Aaron Sharp was trained by maybe the Knights. He obviously worked for Brian Dixon and WAW and other companies. Obviously, he split off to do his own thing now. He's got his own little company up in Skegness, which is ticking over pretty well from what I've been told. And we spoke just before Christmas. And so I was thrilled to work with him. And Shreddy obviously was supposed to be at the Summer Spectacular, which didn't happen. And I'm looking forward to seeing Shreddy. He's definitely a character. Both of these guys haven't wrestled for WPW ever, so it's nice to see the new guys coming in as well. It's nice to see, they can't say, "Oh, Matt's bringing, this guy, all the same guys." I'm mixing it
fresh
up.
faces.
I'm bringing new guys. We got the girls this time as well, which I've never had a female wrestler on any of my shows. So
Yeah, but if you like your big, strong heavyweight contests, then that match is definitely for you. And those guys can go in the ring as well, for sure. Speaking about guys that can go in the ring, you got some, dare I say, some legends of the business in this one here. But Tucker, Alex, I spoke to Tucker, got to know him very well over the years, and James Mason, one of the very best technical wrestlers anywhere in the world, but certainly a UK legend. Foxy and Krampus will be going up against James Mason and Tucker, and that's the only tag match on the show. And I remember last time we had a tremendous tag match, and this one will be no different. Now, Foxy was meant to have been on the show last February, and he was unfortunately injured. I think he got injured a couple of days before, so this will be kind of his return to WPW, teaming with Krampus against two British legends there.
Yeah, Foxy, definitely, he's known for bending rules a little bit. I guess the referee will have his eyes on him. Krampus, another guy that's never been to WPW. We're introducing him, obviously, to the UK audience, probably for the first time. But saying that, he's going on with the best, James Mason. And Tucker, well, I've heard a lot about Tucker. I think Brookside mentioned him to me. I think Starbucks from Finland mentioned him to me. Then I actually started speaking to Tucker. I messaged him when my niece died, and Tucker messaged me back and said, "Don't worry about the wrestling at the moment. You concentrate on your family." And he said, "Come straight back to me." And we're doing business. He's a real gentleman, Tucker. And I'm looking forward to meeting Tucker. I hope with the Super Clash moving forward in the shows, we could hopefully maybe seeing Tucker going on with some of the international guys I bring over, because he got into WWE NXT. I don't know why he didn't get onto the main roster. I don't know. I wouldn't want to
Tremendous talent.
I wouldn't want to ask the person that sort of question because it's not really my business. But I think he should have been at least given a year over there in the WWE, or AEW should have snatched him up, or New Japan Pro Wrestling, because I believe Tucker was trained by Devitt, Fergal Devitt.
Correct.
And if he was, so Fergal Devitt did the very first Super Clash. He was on with Luke Hawk at GR1. So I've had Devitt on, and he was an awesome talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're watching
Cheltenham and Ireland have got that that sort of connection through the races and Gold Cup and horse racing and the wrestling.
Yeah, and with Tucker, you've got to look out for his super duper kick. It's a super kick like you've never seen before. James Mason can tie you up in knots any day of the week. And of course, you've got the experienced duo of Foxy and Krampus on the other side. That's going to be really, really fun. And if you're a fan of tag team wrestling, that's going to be tremendous. And another reason why you should be getting your tickets today, just go to the Cheltenham Town Hall's website. The link will be in the description, or just, like I say, it's following along the bottom of the screen there. What about this one here? Sheikh El Sham versus Adam Maxted. Now, Adam Maxted, probably the best drop kick in the business, Mr. Jarrett. I'm sure you've seen it before. But Sheikh El Sham, I'd say one of the best pros in the UK and Europe in 2023. This is going to be a really, really fascinating match between two very experienced pro wrestlers that can definitely go. And Adam Maxted, you've got to watch out for that drop kick. Matt Jarrett, what would you say about those two?
This is definitely a match which I'm looking forward to. I mean, we really wanted to put Adam against Yestin Reese. That was the original plan, but obviously then Yestin got injured, so the Sheik jumped in. Again, Sheik's a fantastic wrestler. He just did an interview
one of the best.
With BBC Radio Gloucester last Sunday, which is up on their website. I'm looking forward to having Sheik on the WPW roster. But I think this is going to be a great one. Whoever wins this match out of these two, and drop kicks, and Sheik says he's got a better drop kick than Adam.
Really?
Whoever wins this match will wrestle a former WWE wrestler in October.
Very exciting, very exciting. And we'll talk more about the other show that you have planned later on in 2023 a bit later on. But you've got two very experienced pros there in Sheikh El Sham and Adam Maxted. That's going to be a fantastic match for sure. And how about this one? You said this is possibly the first match, first all-women's match you've put together under a Super Clash, under a WPW banner. So very, very exciting. Zaya Brookside, of course. We got the lineage there with, of course, being the daughter of Robbie Brookside, British legend, and, of course, WWE coach against Myla Grace, who is a fantastic up-and-coming female performer on the UK scene and further afield. But what can you tell us about these two, and what sort of match should we expect on February the 12th, Matt?
I've never promoted a women's wrestling match, never. So it's
a first.
Yeah, it's a first for me, and it's great to see it at a Super Clash event. A backstory of this is that Zaya Brookside was on the very first Super Clash. She actually managed Phil Powers and Christian Eckstein against me and Danny. But funny enough, the first time I met Zaya, I met her in February 2008. I can remember it because I just looked out of all my shows on the internet, and it was Brookside against Charlie Rage, and I wrestled Keith Myatt that night.
Really?
And Joel Redmond was only just starting then, so he was probably in a year in then.
Wow.
And Zaya was there, and she was probably about 7. And she said to me, "I'm going to be a big superstar one day." And I said, "Oh, great," like that, and didn't think nothing of it. Then I saw her, over the years, and then obviously Liger, she came down for that. And then 2014, when we did Super Clash 2, it was Isaiah's 18th birthday. So she got
Oh,
flowers actually in the ring. So she's gone from being a young girl to an 18-year-old, getting her start in the business, being in WWE, and then coming
yeah.
back home to SuperClash, WPW. And yeah, I think it's going to be great hearing that Brookside music again. Can we fly? Can I fly? I can't remember what it's called. Am I ready to fly? That's the song. I
Yeah.
haven't heard that song for about 10 years. It hasn't been on any of my shows, and it was used to be quite a regular song on my shows. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great contest. The Irish girl, I don't know too much about her, but if she's got that Irish fighting spirit, you can't take that away from her. So yeah, I think it'll be one of the top matches of the night. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely, and both of them individuals very experienced,
Yeah.
experienced around the UK and around Europe. And of course, you mentioned Zaya being former NXT UK star, but those two are definitely going to bring it. And very, very exciting. Like I say, a bit of history being made there as well in a World Pro Wrestling ring. So definitely worth. And like I say, if you're a fan of women's wrestling, that's another reason why you should be getting a ticket. Just go to the Cheltenham Town Hall's website and get your ticket today.
If we went sort of like really full circle, Robbie Brookside was on the very first show I went to at the Town Hall with Lee Bamber, so we could go really round on this one. So
Absolutely.
I think it was Robbie and the Doc against Task Force.
That's a proper full circle moment. That is. There we go. And look at this one. Two of the most experienced guys you're likely to see in a ring. We mentioned Joel Redmond just a moment ago, and we spoke about the technical prowess of James Mason, but Joel Redmond, probably one of the best pro wrestlers, whether it be technical wrestling or otherwise, pretty much anywhere. Certainly up there with one of the best technical wrestlers, going up against Kenzo Richards. Now, Kenzo was meant to have been at the last show. Obviously, travel issues and weather issues prevented that from happening. Kenzo, a slightly different style of wrestler, but like I say, just as much experience that Kenzo is going to bring to the ring as Joel Redmond. These two are going to bring a tremendous match to the audience at the Cheltenham Town Hall on the 12th of February. Give us your insight into these two performers, and once again, what sort of match do you think we're going to get? I mean, the last time we saw Joel Redmond, he went up against Yeston Reese, and that was an instant classic, and I think they went to a time limit draw, but they could have gone another 15-20 minutes easily and put on a 5-star classic, but these two, I've got a feeling we're going to have much the same outcome, much the same classic, a great outing between these two to be had.
Yeah, I mean, with Kenzo's worked for me since 2014. We brought him over for SuperClash 2, and he was in like a 4-way dance. I think it was Jimmy Meadows, Frankie Sloan, and Phil Powers. So he was in with a good mixture of British talent, and then we brought him over and he was on with Hernandez, which was a great contest. The last time he was over here, it was going to be in the he would have been over here last February because of weather issues, and I think I had him on with Joel then that evening. So that match was going to happen one way or another. Joel Redmond's obviously worked for me since 2008. He worked for me for. Well, he's done loads of shows for me, and then obviously he went off to NXT, to Florida, which, you know, again, I don't know why he didn't get in. Again, none of my business, but, you know, WWE should have swiped him up as well.
100%.
Obviously, he's done well over in All Japan Pro Wrestling. I spoke to Tajiri, actually, and Tajiri told me how well he did over there with All Japan Pro Wrestling. I think this is going to be one of those matches which you really can't decide a winner. And if I was a betting man, I think I would keep my money in my pocket.
Very wise decision, yeah. And of course, Joel Redmond is, Mr. British Wrestling, Mr. All-Star. But on Sunday, the 12th of February, he's going to be Mr. WPW going up against the very experienced Kenzo Richards. So you like to say, if you're looking for quality, if you're looking for experience, and if you're looking for two wrestlers of the highest caliber, those two are definitely going to be right up your street, and another reason why you should be getting a ticket today. But we've spoken about 6 tremendous matches already, and there's one more to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at this one here. Niwa, the very experienced Niwa going up against MVK. Now, I think it was Jimmy Jackson who took on MVK last time. MVK should have been going up against Scorpio for the championship, but this is going to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a number one contenders match for Scorpio's championship. So when the great man does finally come over to these shores, he'll be facing one of those two men. But you probably couldn't get two finer athletes, two finer performers to main events the next on Sunday, the 12th of February, and one of them will be the number one contender to the championship. So talk about these two individuals, and like I say, that's going to be a fantastic main event.
Yeah, it's going to be a real barnstorm of a match, I think. MVK is an unbelievable athlete, and he's got a MMA background. He's got a very hard background. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
And Niwa, funny enough, Brian Dixon and Mal Mason, rest his soul, told me before he passed away that he thought Niwa was one of the best imports since Mighty John Quinn and Fuji Yamada came over. So that's a real high league to be in.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing Niwa in action. I mean, obviously, I've watched a lot of his stuff on YouTube. I've heard a lot because obviously he's an all-star wrestler as well. And, you know, I used to be an all-star wrestler, so I know that. I know what the travel schedule's like. It's probably a bit lighter to when I was there because Brighton was running nightly then. But it's going to be a hell of a match, and it's going to be a great main event. And like you said, one of them will go on to either be the champion or one of them will wake up the next day with non-championship belt.
Yeah, absolutely. But there we go. I mean, that is a tremendous main event, and MVK doing some fantastic stuff once again up in the Northwest for companies like TNT Extreme and Ignition and various other promotions. Niwa, I don't know if he still is, but he was the All-Star Wrestling champion. So like I say, the credential, the pedigree is definitely there for both of those two. And like I say, one of them at the end of Sunday, the 12th of February, will be the number one contender to the championship.
With Niwa, he obviously, I've got a big place in my heart for Lucha Libre.
Yeah.
I actually like Lucha Libre. I actually watch a lot of it, through meeting some of the Japanese guys like Tajiri and Liger, and obviously they go over to Mexico and, they tell you about it when you get a chance to be with them and stuff like that. So I've got a place in my heart for the Mexicans, and obviously Niwa's been over to Mexico. So anyone who goes over there for a year or so, or just a couple of months, they've got my all my respect for, because it's such a hard country to work in.
Yeah, absolutely. And much like we said earlier, where a lot of pros come over here to learn the British style, you'll find a lot of them, like I say, do the excursion to Mexico to learn the Lucha Libre style, just to be more rounded. And that's something you were telling us about Niwa. Definitely a very rounded, experienced pro. We started this conversation talking about Jimmy Jackson versus Jack Landers. Like I say, two very, very bright, exciting up-and-comers. Like I say, another reason to get your ticket for SuperClash. Those two are going to put on a hell of a performance. Two great characters there. And then Aaron Sharp and Shreddy, two big, strong, jacked guys who are going to put on a bit of a powerhouse performance, but those two can go in the ring as well. And then we got our only tag team encounter for SuperClash on February the 12th. James Mason, British legend, and Tucker, former NXT UK star, going up against Foxy and Krampus in what's going to be a fantastic tag team encounter on February the 12th. And then, of course, Sheikh El Sham and Anna Maxted, two of the best pros on the UK scene right now. And like I say, it's going to be a battle of the drop kicks. Who has the best drop kick? But certainly that one is going to be an amazing encounter between two of the very best pros on the scene currently. And then making history, the first ever women's match under a WPW SuperClash banner. You've got Zaya Brookside with all the lineage there and the history and the credentials of being a former WWE NXT UK star, going up against well-travelled Myla Grace That's going to be a tremendous outing between those two. Then you've got Kenzo Richards, a very experienced competitor, going up against Joel Redmond, one of the very best and finest technical wrestlers on the planet. And he is Mr. All-Star, of course, and Niwa versus MVK in the main event. That's going to be a tremendous battle. 7 amazing matches there, Matt. You must be pretty proud of the card you've put together.
Yeah, I am. I'm actually really proud for myself that I haven't brought any really imports in from like the United States or Japan, which would have usually been my thing with especially with SuperClash when I've worked on those events before. It's great to go back to really the foundations of WPW, the British wrestling, to get that back, and to really get it out there. Obviously, we haven't gone too mad on this year because, with what's going on in the world, the war in Ukraine and, the problems which people have got every day with living costs.
Yeah.
I just thought if I did bring, an American over or a Japanese, you have to put your ticket prices up. So I would prefer people just to come, have 3 hours of wrestling action, and, at least they've got 3 hours of being warm in the town hall for 20 quid and 15 quid. So, it's not expensive. I mean, I have got plans for SuperClash 5, which the ticket prices probably will be different because we're going to bring some foreign talent in. But again, at the moment, even after this SuperClash, I'm going to sit down again and really look at it if I need to bring them in because, with the way the world is at the moment, it might not be safe for anyone to travel, especially from Japan because, they come over Russia and I don't even know if you're allowed in their airspace, so you might have to go the long way now. So we've got to look at all sorts of things about
logistics,
your logistics of everything. So but hopefully we can definitely bring some big names in next around about the October time.
Yeah, I've got a very important question for you. You spoke about your next show, which you've just mentioned, SuperClash 5, that you're looking to put on in October. Are there any stars or anybody in particular that you might be looking to book for that show? Anybody who might be able to start getting excited about nice and early?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would like to bring Jody back, Jody Flash.
Yeah.
Who's I think he's injured at the moment, but it'd be nice to see him back. I would like to bring Tajiri back. I've got a place in my heart for Tajiri. But, if we talk like European or the UK scene, Dean Omar is definitely, rocking it all over England, really is. I like the guy we talked about earlier. I think you're with him tomorrow. What's his name? He's with Noah. That's all I know. I can't remember his name. You'll have to name him.
Chris Ridgway.
Chris Ridgway. Sorry, Chris Ridgway. If you're watching this, Ridgway, I apologise to you. But
he'd be a great addition to a SuperClash card.
For 5 minutes, Chris Ridgway, I forgot your name. I apologise.
But that would be a great addition and some great names there. But and like I say, stay tuned for more news about SuperClash 5 that Matt Jarrett will be hopefully putting on under the World Pro Wrestling banner in October. But so we're only a few days away from WPW SuperClash, February the 12th, from the Cheltenham Town Hall. And look at this beautiful venue. And the inside is even more spectacular, even more grand, steeped in history, steeped in wrestling history, wrestling folklore, because there's been so many World of Sport tapings that have happened there. And now it's the home for WPW. They were there last February. They're going to be there this February. But if I bring up the main poster, all the information is there, and doors open at 4 o'clock. First bell for the first match is at 5 o'clock. You get your tickets by going to the cheltenhamtownhall.org and then just following the links through to events and WPW SuperClash. It really is as simple as that. But all that tremendous talent and all the amazing performers that will be on show in the 7 matches we've just spoke about. But Matt, have you got any final words for people that are watching or listening to this, and more importantly, why they should be there at the Cheltenham Town Hall on February the 12th?
Well, SuperClash is it really takes. I mean, people say it's really easy to promote a wrestling show, which you could argue with them because yourself it's not an easy task. When it comes to SuperClash, it literally takes me about 5 months to put it together. When you look at all the wrestlers, you've got to see, have they got any dates with other promoters? Because you want all the top guys with it. When you bring foreign talent in, now that adds to all that stress because you've got to get their flights in, you've got to get their visas in, you've got to get their hotels in. So then you've got to look after them for a couple of days. So we ain't got to do that this time. But yeah, so I hope the fans come and support this one. You know, I'm really going to give you it. I know I sort of messed up. It wasn't my fault last year, actually, but you know, accidents happen. You know, nobody's perfect. I hope the fans come back, because this time I'm giving this for you guys out there. I'm going to make sure this SuperClash is the best one I've ever put together. And if you've ever watched SuperClash 2, which was a phenomenal card, which I think people still talk about it to this day, how we ever did that one, I don't know, and I still don't know, because my friend actually mentioned that today. This one's going to be as good as that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And one thing that you've always done, Matt, and I'll take my hat off to you, whether it be under the WPW banner or SuperClash, you've always put on the very best cards, using the very best talent. And like I say, some of the greatest action happens under a SuperClash or WPW banner, and that's certainly what we're going to get in a few short days from the Cheltenham Town Hall. But Matt, I can't wait to see you there. I can't wait to see all the fans there and all the fantastic talent and all the wonderful matches that we're likely to see. Get your tickets today. Just go to the CheltenhamTownHall.org. Follow the links through to their events page, and you will see WPW SuperClash 2023. Get your ticket or tickets today. If you live in the area or not too far away, you will not be disappointed. Like I say, make a treat. Like I say, it's not too far off from Valentine's Day, so it could be an early Valentine's treat. Or if you're just a hardcore wrestling fan, or if you like your traditional British wrestling, or if you're a family with a kid who loves watching their WWE or AEW, then, like I say, this has got all of that sports entertainment element mixed in as well. But Matt Jarrett, I can't wait to see the show. I think it's a real variety wrestling show. It's got something for everybody, and I think everybody should be there. But Matt Jarrett, my good friend, I will catch up with you on February the 12th.
Yeah, no problem, John. What I did want to say is you know,
yeah, carry on.
With families coming, I mean, you know, we go away to like Alton Towers and stuff like that, and we go to the castles all around the country and take our kids to it, you know, for a day out. Yeah. You know, you've seen it yourself how beautiful Cheltenham Town Hall is. I mean, it's a stunning venue. Yeah. We're not sat in like some backstreet, you know, community centre or some pub or, you know, whatever. Other promoters, they do their own thing, you know, and respect to them if they're doing what they're doing. This is a very, you know, historical venue. It's
special venue, yeah.
It's a real great place to go. I mean, you know, you're going to see a venue that's held, you know, some of the biggest acts in the world have wrestled there, and some of the biggest acts in the world have played there. So it's you know, it's one of the greatest it's one of the greatest venues. Cheltenham's a festival town, so let's get the first festival off its way.
There we go. Matt Jarrett, I couldn't have said it better myself, but I'll see you at the show. Can't wait, my friend.
No problem, my friend. You have a good evening.